HOA sell non-HOA house. So I'll start by saying this happened to a friend of mine a few years ago, so I don't know all of the details. I'll spare the boring details, but we lived in a small rural farming community that has been growing quite rapidly lately. A lot of farmers are growing old and selling their farmland. There are two ways to do this. They can either split it into lots and sell a piece at a time. This typically brings in more money but is a much slower process. Then they can sell the whole thing at once. Again, faster process, less money. This particular farmer decided to sell his land in lots because it was in a developing neighborhood and he could make a much larger profit doing it that way. My friend bought a few lots and built a very nice house on it. Then a large company came in and bought most of all of the remaining lots and built a subdivision on theland. In order to keep everything in a consistent look, they themed the properties after my friend's place. His was a lot nicer, obviously. He didn't cheap out on it like they did, but they had a similar style to his. He didn't mind because that just raised his property value even more. It is impotent to note that my friend basically lived right in the center of the subdivision. He bought a place in the middle of the property because of its view. Probably not the best idea in retrospect. The people who built the subdivision also founded an HOA. My friend was invited to join on multiple occasions, but always refused for obvious reasons. Because of some legal clauses about pre-existing properties, he wasn't required to join, even though he was in the center of the subdivision. He did maintain a pretty good relationship with the HOA president and some of the member of the community as well. He was regularly invited to HOA events and sometimes actually took them up on the offer. He enjoyed it. Then a new president took over the HOA. I guess the new president didn't really do any research because he just assumed that my friend was part of the HOA. He contacted my friend about several violations that he noticed along with late fees due to the HOA. When my friend tried to explain that he wasn't part of the HOA, the new president just showed him off and ignored him. My friend obviously just ignored all of the fees, fines, etc. Now my friend was a winter bird. For anyone who doesn't know what that means, it's a fancy way of saying someone that lives in the south during the winter and in the north during the summer. They typically own 2 houses, or sometimes they're retired and just jump around between family members that are happy to take care of them for that time. My friend in particular was a doctor who worked for a hospital here in the summer months and a hospital in the south in the winter months. So it all worked out. So saying this, you could probably imagine the horror on his face when he came home and found all of his locks changed and another family living in his house. The HOA president knew that he traveled south every year, so waited until he was gone, then sent an eviction notice for all of his late. He had a friend of his that owned a realty firm sell the house and moved in a new family all while my friend was gone. My friend contacted a lawyer friend of his from back in the south and started the process of suing the HOA. Big city lawyer vs. small town HOA who is absolutely in the wrong. Guess who won? Oh, did I mention that the family that moved into my friend's house joined in as well? They also sued the HOA because they had to be relocated on short notice, and they had taken out a very hefty loan for that property. I don't know exactly what happened, but I know that the HOA president lost his house and skipped town. I'm guessing he probably took the brunt of the attack.